Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tony, and I am currently playing Super Mario World, I think is what it's called, for the Super Nintendo. And I'm telling you guys about what it was like to live with my now ex-husband, who I suspect was a narcissist. Again, I cannot diagnose him. I cannot diagnose anyone. I'm not a doctor. But I do think that he was a narcissist. And I definitely feel like I probably left a lot of things out. But I've told quite a few different stories about, random things. And so today I'm going to tell you the things that I have learned since my husband's arrest. He was arrested October of 2021 for domestic violence on me. And he also had a charge of interfering with electronic communications because he took our youngest son's cell phone and stopped him from calling 911, but that was dropped because he took a plea deal. So, that was terrible. So even though he did have that, it's no longer, which actually I think all of his stuff is hidden now because that was like a term of plea deal, which kind of annoys me, but whatever. But anyway, first of all, he tells everybody that will listen that I hit him. He did not hit me. It was really funny because when he tried to get the PPO, what is the word for it? When he tried to terminate it, when he tried to get the PPO terminated, we went to court and we both had to submit our evidence or whatever, and I just told the stories of all the things that had happened and what happened that night. And my husband, he laid it on really thick. But my judge was like, so listen, intimidating your wife and screaming at her, that's domestic violence. Calling your wife names and, stopping her from leaving the house because at one point he had disabled the van so I couldn't leave. He's listing all these things that my husband did and admitted to right there on the stand. And he's like, that is domestic violence. And let me tell you, that was jarring for me in the best possible way because nobody had ever told me that what I was going through was you know what I mean? That it was valid, and that, because even my sister was like, well, it's not like he hate you. Okay. He still made my life a living hell for years. Why do I suck so much? And my kids' lives, for that matter. Anyway. So, since we split, I have heard, I gotta quit getting distracted by my phone. My Discord keeps popping up, and it's not even anything. It's just my Discord melting down over some tweet. I love you guys, though. My Discord, I love them. So, sorry for saying you're melting down over some tweet. I'm sure I'm gonna melt down when I see it, too. But anyway, so when we first split up, he was telling people all sorts of crazy stories about, what I don't even know, honestly, because he's blocked and all that kind of stuff because I have PPO and everything. But I know that, he made it seem like I, took his kids away and wouldn't let him see his kids. The kids didn't want to see him. I told them that, even though there's a PPO, I would obviously set something up if they want to see their dad. They were angry with it. I mean, we went through a lot. They were angry. And I was not, I had them in therapy. They were seeing therapists. I was doing everything, the right way to make sure that, to make sure that their trauma was not just ignored. And, part of that was letting them decide if they want to see their father at their own pace. I mean, it's what you have to do in a situation like this. You just have to. So I did. And eventually, of course, supervised visitation was court ordered, so they didn't have a choice. Because honestly, they weren't quite ready when they did have to. But again, they didn't have a choice in the matter. They had to see their father at this point. But anyway, so at one point, a friend of mine from school passed away from COVID. And his wife and I were actually really good friends in school. And so, of course, my best friend, Jen, and I were going to go to this funeral. And at the time, we still had the PPO in place, and there wasn't any kind of visitation schedule yet. So I had to be extra careful with my kids, and I wasn't comfortable leaving them home alone. So we decided to have my mom keep an eye on the kids while me and my best friend went to this funeral. And she offered to come and pick me up, and her and I could just ride together. And we were taking the kids to my mom's together. And my ex-husband sent our middle child a message saying, "Who's the guy in the red truck? I see you guys replaced me already," you know, blah, 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 whatever. I actually still have the text on my phone. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was some sort of big dramatic text about how we replaced him. And my kid was just like, "That's Aunt Jen. Her and Mom are going to a funeral. Chill." And, you know, that was that. But, like, it was still very, oh my God. It was still very annoying. And, like, he has told people, like, he told my friends, two of my friends, he told them that he has to sell his motorcycle because I'm making him sell his motorcycle in the divorce and I'm making him give me the money. This is completely untrue. I gave him every single vehicle in our divorce. But I didn't bother, like, I just told the friend, because he was trying to get this guy to buy his motorcycle, and I was like, "Listen, he doesn't have to sell it. If you don't want to buy his motorcycle, don't worry. He does not have to sell it. It's fine." But, like, most of the time when I hear rumors and things like that, I don't bother clearing them up because I don't care what anybody thinks. But what's really funny to me is he told one of my good friends and her husband that I have been going out to the bar every week with one of our, or with, I wouldn't even call her a friend, just like this girl that I have known a long time but genuinely don't even really talk to. And that one to me was genuinely so funny, simply because I don't drink at all. I absolutely do not go to bars. And it was my sister. My sister is the one who goes to the bar with this person. And, like, you were married to me for 16 years. Do you actually believe that I am going to the bar with this person? Because it's weird if you do. Like, you should know me well enough to know that I'm not going to the bar with anyone. But it's just, like, the stuff like that, like, it, on one hand, it's amusing to me, like, when I hear insane rumors like that, supposedly. But on the other hand, it kind of worries me at times, because it's like, are you just making this stuff up to make me look bad just because we're getting divorced now and you want me to be the bad guy? That's all well and fine. But if you actually believe it, I'm concerned about your like, mental state. Like, genuinely. I don't mean that in, like, a snarky way. I mean that in, like, a, 100% that this is not something that I would do. So if you're telling people this, please tell me that you don't actually believe it, because you do have to help take care of my children, and I don't want you to be, like, paranoid and delusional when you have to take care of our children. And of course, that's not something like that I'm gonna bring up in court or anything like that, because it's all hearsay and whatever. But it is something that genuinely, like, actually legitimately worries me sometimes, because a lot of the stuff that I hear, it's like, okay, like, is this just like an angry ex who's just, like, making this up because you're mad at me? Or is this something that you actually, like, legitimately believe about me? Because I don't know, it's kind of worrisome. But it's funny because he apparently back before I disabled the cameras, because we did have outside security cameras. He actually, it's funny, he put them up when he was still living here because he thought he was gonna bust me, like having men over, I guess, or whatever. He literally named the camera, because like you could like name the camera feed. He named it Busted Now. Yep, Busted Now. I was not busted, just so we're clear. Not at any point. But I still had the cameras enabled after he left, and he of course was constantly like trying to watch us on them. But even though people kept telling me to disable them, I felt like I should have kept them enabled, simply because I also would know if he came to the house as well, because I had a PPO. But eventually I did disable them. But before I did, he had went over to the neighbor's house, and he was showing him like videos or like screen, I don't know if it was like videos or like screenshots or whatever, oops, of the camera. And he was showing him like a man or men, I'm not really sure, running away from my house. But the thing is, there was no one there. And he was like pointing it out to the neighbor, and the neighbor said that he watched this video like 13 times, and there was nothing on it. There was no one there. No one was running away from my house, because no one was running away from my house. Like, I don't know. And I don't know, like, I'm torn. Like, I don't know if he maybe just like has a guilty conscience because maybe he's like already been dating people or whatever, or if he just, if it's leftover paranoia from the drugs or what it is. But some of the stories that I hear about myself are just, they're funny. They're genuinely funny, but they're also mildly disturbing, because like, do you actually think that? Because like, yikes. I don't know. It's very hard to like, basically I just ignore everything, because I don't want any of like the drama, and I don't really care what these people that are hearing these stories, like I don't care what these particular people think of me. I don't care if they believe it, I don't care if they don't believe it. Like, they're not people that mean anything in my life, so it doesn't really make a difference what they believe or what they do not believe. But the thing that I guess irritates me is that he tells my kids all sorts of stuff, and obviously my kids know what is true and what isn't true, but they also, I don't know which door to go in. My kids obviously know what is true and what isn't true, and usually they call him out for it, but it's still like, the whole entire time of their visitation, all he does is complain about me. And it's annoying for the simple fact that my kids shouldn't have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, they shouldn't have to deal with that. They should just be able to have a simple visitation with their dad, and that should be it. But whatever. So, I don't know. Like, he's not my problem anymore, but at the same time he is, because my kids have to deal with him. And I don't want them, like, I spent a long time protecting them from all of, like, the negative stuff about their dad. Like, they didn't know when he, you know, had affairs. They didn't know when he, you know, did or said certain things to me. They didn't know, you know, they still, to this day, there's a lot of stuff that happened even at the height of his drug use that they don't know about. I'm not telling them, they're kids. They don't need to know certain things that he did to me, or, you know, certain things that happen. But he started telling them stuff. Like, my kids found out, or at least one of my kids found out, that my husband had a 2-year affair because he told them. He told my kid, because he was trying to, like, I don't know, accuse me of something, and he said that I was getting back at him for his past mistake. Buddy, please quit telling our children things. Like, it is incredibly stressful. Like, I don't want the kids to know stuff like that. Like, you are their father. Like, I may not be too fond of you, but I've been trying to keep a relationship with, like, I've been trying to keep their relationship with you, like, good, you know? And you're not freaking helping. So, I don't know. It's very stressful. And obviously, I know some of it was obviously, like, the drugs. But some of it was just him. And it's very scary, I guess, to not fully know the difference. You know? Like, oh, shit. Like, I don't completely know which parts of it were the drugs and which parts of it were him, if that makes sense. Like, I do. Some of it I do. I don't know. Anyway, it's, I feel like there's quite a few different stories that probably happened that I just didn't, that I left out or whatever. But, oh god. That was not worth it. But anyway, yeah, it was a, I don't know. Like, my whole thing is, after everything that I went through, after the way my marriage was, I don't think I'm ever gonna date again. And I genuinely don't, like, I don't mean this as, like, shade or, like, a negative towards other people who've gotten divorced or ended relationships or whatever. If you want to move on, you want to date other people, more power to you. But I genuinely do not understand how people do that. Like, most people that I know who have gotten divorced have literally been, like, moved on before their divorce was even final. And I know for a fact that in my state, you have a 6-month waiting period before your divorce is final. Which might seem like a long time, I guess, to some people, if, like, they genuinely can't go that long without a relationship or whatever, which I know some people are better at that than others, so, you know, I get that. But, like, it is, I don't, oh, shit. Sorry, I'm, like, struggling to articulate my thoughts. Right immediately following my divorce, or I mean my husband getting arrested, my ex-husband, I genuinely at that point could not have even ever considered, like, the thought of dating someone. And even now, like, yes, my divorce is final, but my kids have been through trauma. I have been through trauma. Like, I'm not bringing another man into my kids' lives. I'm not bringing a man into my life. I don't particularly like to leave my kids here alone because they've been through a lot. I mean, you know, obviously sometimes I will for, you know, like, if I have to run somewhere or whatever, usually not the youngest, but the older two, you know, they're plenty old enough. But I'm not going to, like, go out on dates and just, like, leave my kids home to fend for themselves. That's just not a thing that I'm gonna do. They don't have any kind of overnights with their father. At the moment, like, right now the visitation is still supervised, and that's only 4 hours every other Sunday. So that's not something that's going to, you know, to happen. There is no one, and I mean no one, that I trust around my kids enough to bring them here. And honestly, I'm not interested in having anyone in my, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. Like, I'm genuinely confused on how people just move on. They just start dating again. And I don't get it. I really don't. So, I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around it. But I'm going to end that here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to do one more video before I have to go pick up my kids. So leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know what you think of my videos. I'm sorry that it's just me. It should be my sister again next week. Bye.